So thank you so much for being willing to do this interview with me. How did you find out that your child had GSD?
So this is Ben. He is my GSD baby. We were visiting family in Minnesota for Christmas, and he was about 4 months old. And I knew something was wrong. I actually was telling my family, I feel like something is wrong, but I don't know what it is. He was eating pretty much every 45 minutes. Um, his whole life. And normally I would have been sleep training and getting him to sleep through the night, and he just wasn't. And he was happy unless he was hungry. And so if he was eating every 45 minutes to an hour, he was the happiest baby you've ever seen. And when he was hungry, he needed to eat like yesterday. It was pretty much an emergency in his eyes, even though, and it was, but we didn't know it. And then on Christmas Eve, he got lethargic and he started breathing really fast and he wasn't eating anymore. And he was almost listless. And I'm in the medical field. So for the most part, I keep my kids out of the hospital, out of the doctor. We just manage at home. But I said, we have to go now. So we went in and I thought he had picked up RSV traveling. And we did an x-ray of his belly. And the hospital we went to, I just went to the closest hospital thinking he had RSV. They'd swab him for everything and we'd go home. And they sent us right away to the Children's Hospital where he was found to be severely acidotic. He ended up with central lines and breathing tubes and the whole 9 yards. And luckily for us, we were at Children's Minneapolis, which is one of the, top 10 for sure in the country, probably top 5 children's hospitals. And they had a geneticist in the building on Christmas Eve that came and said, we think it's one of two things. I'm not going to tell you what they are because you'll Google them, but we'll narrow it down within the next 24 hours. And of course, because I'm in the medical field, I pretty much had it narrowed down as well once I knew it was a genetic issue. And the next day they said they thought he had GSD 1A, and it turned out he has 1B from our genetic testing. But
Can you explain a little bit about what GSD1B is and what all that entails for all the people who may not know what that is?
yeah, so I explain it as he can't fast ever. So he can't access that stored energy. When you eat, you put all your extra energy into your liver, and he can't get it out. 1B specifically means he's missing the door. It's not just he doesn't have the key or can't get out the door. The door is gone. He has no doorway to even get that energy out of his liver. Because of that, it affects the way his immune system functions because that door has more than one purpose and he's missing it. So not the energy is the biggest impact that we see because he can't fast, and hypoglycemia and low blood sugars can be deadly very quickly, but it affects his immune system. So a lot of 1B patients also have more inflammatory issues, irritable bowel disease. They can get a lot of sores. Their immune system is pretty much always working in overdrive because they don't have the neutrophils, which are like the beat cops. They survey your body and make sure that anything that shouldn't be there is getting taken care of right away. And their body, that doesn't work that way. They don't have a lot of neutrophils that are healthy enough to do the job the way it's supposed to be done. So um, it adds a little extra layer of challenge because they can be sick very often. It's not just managing their blood sugars, it's keeping them healthy.
So, how did you and your family come to accept that your child cannot have sugar and has GSD?
Um, well, I think for us, it was pretty, I don't want to say easy because GSD is not easy, but I'm pretty scientific. My husband is a financial advisor and also has a very analytical brain. So I think for us, it was, okay, he has this. What do we do from here? And we got Ben a G-tube before we left Minneapolis. So before we left the hospital after getting our diagnosis, he had the G-tube. And I know that that can be scary for a lot of people, but I had worked with it. And I knew at some point he was going to be 2 and not going to eat for us. So we did it right away. I kept envisioning, my niece is 3 and very stubborn, and they have the same fight. She won't eat dinner, and I could just imagine, his blood sugar is going down, and we're begging him to eat something at 3 years old. So, and I said, I have no interest in that fight. We're not doing that. So we got him a G tube right away, and then we also fought to get a continuous glucose monitor before we left the hospital because they did want to send us home without one, and that was scary to me. So we just kind of focused on what we had to do to to keep him healthy.
And then how do you plan on educating your kid that they have GSD as they continue to grow up?
Well, it's definitely a part of our everyday life. He has 2 older sisters, 4 and 3, and they will already say, Mom, is this healthy? And I say, well, what do you mean? And they say, well, does it have a lot of sugar? Because, he can't have high sugar fruit, things like that. And they already ask which foods are like that. And they're making the choice, no, Mom, I don't want that because it's not healthy. So they eat like Ben is going to be eating as well, just because that's kind of how we talk about it is, well, that's not a really healthy food for you. And so we focus on talking about it a lot and just making that our routine.
What is something that's not currently offered in the GSD community that you would like to see offered?
Um, no one really has good answers, and I don't know that that's ever going to be something that can be given. Even the guidelines, there's so few patients that have had it, and everyone's GSD is so different. Even though they have the same exact diagnosis, it's still a different journey. And so, I have said multiple times, I just wish someone could give me, and I just want someone to tell me what to do. What am I supposed to do when this happens? And nobody can. So you just have to find out what works for your body. And when they're a baby, they can't tell you. And so you kind of have to honestly trial and error to see what is going to work for him.
Are there any foods that he lean more towards eating than other foods at this stage?
Yeah, so he can pretty much eat whatever he wants. He doesn't eat a ton because he gets formula. So, he gets full, but he will eat taco meat mixed in with avocado, like it's going out of style. I usually have to cut him off of that one. Say, no, you've had enough. He really likes that. That's probably his favorite.
Is there anything else you would like to share with people watching?
Um, I don't know. I just think be kind. I mean, everyone, I've had some people comment with Ben's feeding tube when we're out and about, and that he's a big baby and things like that. And I think just be kind, because if you look at him, you don't know that anything's wrong with him. No one would guess that anything is wrong with him, anything that he has to struggle with on a daily basis. So just be kind to other people because you don't know what they're going through. And this is going to be a lifelong difficult thing for him. And you don't want to be making it harder because you don't know the whole story.
Thank you for your time today, for being willing to do this interview.
Yep. Thank you.